Welcome. Today we're going to take a look at how to practice using strong sentences in your writing. Our goals for today are to look at what are strong sentences, how can they be used in writing, and what are some ways that you might improve upon your writing through your sentences. So let's take a look at what strong sentences are. Strong sentences have to do with all of the choices that you make as a writer, looking at your sentence structures, your sentence choices that you make, and the rhythm and flow that's created by those choices as the sentences are then put together into paragraphs. So how can sentences be used? So strong sentences are used to improve your flow of your writing. What you're going for is you're going for a natural rhythm that balances the writing. Sometimes writing can sound very different than the way that we speak or different than the way that we communicate in normal situations. So sometimes writing can come across as being very choppy or very formal, sometimes overly formal for the situation. And the way that you use your sentences can change that. It can change the way that that's coming across to your reader. We want to present our information as writers in a way that mimics natural speaking, natural communication. That's going to appeal very much to your reader. So how can we identify strong sentences? One thing that you can do is read your piece out loud, whether it's a story or an essay or a research paper. When you read it out loud, you're going to have a very different experience with that writing than when you're reading it quietly to yourself. As you're doing this, you can also take a look and count your sentence types. So if you're noticing that you're only using simple sentences or you're only using compound complex sentences, this tells you a lot about that piece of writing and how that is going to be perceived by your reader. You can also count and take a look at your sentence lengths. Notice if you're only using short sentences or only using really long sentences. Again, that's going to affect the way that your reader is taking in and comprehending your piece of writing. All writing should be balanced in the sentences and the way that those are structured together. So let's take a look at some examples here of strong sentences. What you want is you want a combination of different sentence types and of different sentence lengths. So for different sentence types, you're looking at simple, compound, complex, and compound complex sentences. Okay, those are your 4 different types, and what you want to do is you want to use a combination of those in each of your paragraphs. Now on top of this, you also want to use a combination of short, medium, and long sentences. The more that you can mix things up and not depend upon just one type of sentence, the more naturally that your writing is going to come across to your reader. That makes it more appealing. Let's take a look at an example here. Although some people believe that the only good place to acquire a good dog is from a breeder, this information is false and can lead to supporting backyard breeding and leaving good dogs in the shelter. This is a serious issue. Today, up to 30,000 animals will die in American shelters because of lacking space. There should be new laws passed to stop individuals from breeding their animals, then selling off the offspring solely for the purpose of making money for the unethical person calling themselves a breeder. The solution is clear. A new state law must be passed where breeders must be licensed and pay an annual fee. The money from that fee would be used to support shelter animals. The end to breeding pets for profit is today. Now take a look at this piece of writing right here. You'll notice that it starts off with a long sentence, right? That's almost 5 lines long there. And it's also a compound complex sentence. It's got a combination of different information in there. And then immediately afterwards, it's followed up by a short, simple sentence. That short, simple sentence is very powerful, followed by that following that very long sentence. And then afterwards, with today up to 30,000 animals, we have a medium sentence that's then followed by a long sentence. There should be new laws passed to stop individuals and so forth. And then again, we have a very short sentence. The solution is clear. That's a really powerful sentence. When you combine your sentences in this way, what you're doing is you're putting a different level of power, a different level of strength onto your sentences. Now, normally a very short sentence, a short, simple sentence, won't necessarily have a lot of power. It won't necessarily be able to communicate very much because it's considered to be kind of tiny within that piece. But if you put a lot of strong information into those little tiny sentences and then combine them next to a very long, compound, complex sentence, then you can make for a very nice, natural flow in your writing that comes across to deliver your information in a strong but natural manner to your reader. It comes across as being very appealing. In terms of weak sentences, this is what we don't want to do. We don't want to use all short sentences. That comes across as being very elementary. We also don't want to use all medium sentences. That comes across as being very dull, very boring, very repetitive. And we don't want to use all long sentences. That can be very overwhelming for the reader. So the solution is mix it up. Don't use just one type. Okay? Here's an example of weak sentences. This is my paper. My paper is about dogs. I like dogs a lot. Do you? I think I want 5 dogs. I don't like small, noisy dogs, though. I like big dogs. I like German Shepherds. I like Rottweilers. I also like Great Danes. I want maybe 3 females and 2 males. Maybe I will get dogs from the pound. You'll notice here that you have all short, simple sentences, but these do not come across in a powerful, strong manner to the reader because they've been used all together. Everything here is short. Everything here is simple. So it doesn't have that strength to be able to communicate to the reader the information in a powerful way. What works out best is for you to use the combination. Mix it up. Use a combination of short, medium, and long sentences. Also use a combination of simple, compound, complex, and compound complex sentences. When you use that combination, it comes across very nicely for your reader. So student expectations. You should be using a combination of sentence types and sentence lengths in your writing. You should also be editing and correcting your writing for strong sentences. Make sure you're checking for sentences, not just for conventions. At this point, what you should know and be able to do is to understand what strong sentences are, to know how strong sentences are used in writing, and to have different ways to improve upon the sentences in your writing. I hope this information has been helpful to you. Good luck with your writing.